Hey, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Just trying to double up here, see what's going on. Now, the media manipulation on the deal. Let me go through this. You can always reach this show 706-889-9700, chief@fetchernews.com, and there's all the social media ways. You can follow us. Now, that being said, let's start out here with the deal. Supposedly there's a deal. Let me go through a couple clips here, and then let me explain to you what the media is actually trying to do this morning and throughout last night, okay? Hold on just a second here. All right, number 28, and let me explain, pay attention, and I said in all due respect, pay attention to timestamps 2:07 a.m. Pacific time, meaning Eastern time, right out of the box. This is what they're trying to create, okay? Now, remember, and I don't know what the president will do today, but remember the Chuck and Nancy meeting in the Oval Office. And the Chuck and Nancy meeting in the Oval Office, you know, he looked at Chuck and said, all right, Chuck, I'll take it on myself. I'll take it on my shoulders. I will do it. It'll be my whatever, Chuck. But I'm going to get this, I'm going to address this national crisis on our southern border. I'm going to address it, whatever you want to call it. So we go through the shutdown, okay? Go through the shutdown. And Pelosi and Schumer don't want to admit it, but they get equal blame. Now, the media tried to come out and give all the blame. Now, pay attention to this. The media tried to come out and give all the blame to the media tried to come out and give all the blame to President Trump. But you know what? The American people did not. The shutdown, remember, all through this shutdown, all through everything going on for over 2 months, nobody has ever exposed, as the President of the United States, nobody has ever exposed what's going on our southern border, okay, like this president here. Now, whether CNN likes to report it, whether MSNBC, CBS, even though they do not report it in a positive to the President of the United States in any way whatsoever, they run through everything Trump says, but they tag it as a lie. So Trump said this today, Trump said that today, the border, Trump's claims on the border, Trump's claims on a caravan, Trump's claims on border security, ICE agents, border agents, okay? And then the media would want to then turn around and say, these are all false claims. It did not land with the American people that they're false claims, because they understand at home what's happening in their neighborhood. I'm very serious. They know. See, that's something that Chuck Todd and Andrea Mitchell and George Stephanopoulos and the list goes on. You just don't know. People know what's happening in their hometown. They see it for themselves. So when the president says this border problem, crisis in America, has an enormous effect on people back home, he's 100% right. And they just don't catch on to that. But this president of the United States has made sure that the American people has had it in their face. See, the president highlighted caravans. So they all ran down there to see what's going on with the caravan, and the best thing they could come up with is that somebody took a kid away from its parents. And I've told you over and over on this show not to go backwards, but we live in an area, and we live in America, where kids are taken from their parents for other reasons, and we see that tragedy every day in this country, where kids are taken from their parents. And it's not on the border. But they went down there and they highlighted these caravans, hoping that America would have bleeding hearts for these no border Democrats, and it did not happen. Americans are not exactly bleeding heart. And you know what? This president, like it or not, made sure it was in the news, positive or negative, 24/7. So here's what they're doing. I'm going to get to this in a minute. Here's what they're doing is for they started out trying to make this his shutdown. What did he do? He exposed that a partial government shutdown. All right, why is he at 52%? Period. People have been waiting for these kind of things. He exposed a partial government shutdown equaled 800,000 people. People were like, what? And then when the media started to try to sell that the first paycheck that didn't come in the mail, they were all rushing for bread lines, losing their cars, losing their homes, and devastated. That didn't sell, out here in the real world. We've had a bad Friday. We went to work, whistled while we worked, and was told Friday afternoon, hey, we're shutting down this division. Hell, you say. You think you can call my mortgage company? So many things happen, and the guy's at 52. Now, what they want to do is they want to claim there's a deal. That's right. They want to claim that they went in and worked. Now, the first shutdown, we don't know if there's going to be another. The first shutdown, okay, we have all the sound bites of Nancy, the wicked witch of the DCCC, okay. Nancy came out, and I'm not referring to any kind of sizes on DCCC. That is the Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee, okay. Just didn't want to mess that up and, saying she's the head of the DCCC. Just don't go there, okay? I know. Moving right along. So Nancy comes out. We have all the sound bites, the wicked witch of the DCCC, of her, not even $1. Why, I won't even give $1. There'll be no money for the wall. There'll be no money. No money. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Our people are hurting. And there'll be no money for this wall thingy that he wants. So that played out. And the president went on a daily basis, said, I've tried everything. I've talked to him. I've sent friends. I've sent people. I called in my court jesters and said, go over there and do a show for Nancy. I did everything I could, and she kept saying, not $1, not $1. And I'm going to be the one to come to the table and open the government back up. I'm going to be the bigger man in here. And then the media ran all the stories. Stay with me on this. Then they ran all the stories. Nancy outmaneuvered the Donald. Why, Donald was outmaneuvered by Nancy Pelosi. Why does she have more power than Donald Trump? Is she really who's in charge? I mean, the media blew this up. That Donald got walked all over by Nancy Pelosi's stilettos. I mean, the marks are still on his back. Then he comes roaring in and does this State of the Union address, and they're like, oh, hail. That's exactly how they did. Oh, hail. Oh, hail. No, you didn't just do that. That's what they said, okay? So now, okay, they've rushed in rooms together, and they're working. They're negotiating. You see, now, if he doesn't take the deal, okay, which will not be portrayed to the American people as a bad deal, if he doesn't take the deal, he's the one. Why, they've worked. The American people are asking for bipartisanship, and the American people are asking for them to get along, and they did. Patrick Leahy and Richard Shelby came out, and they expressed they have, well, I'll get to it in a minute. Lawmakers reach deal to avoid shutdown. Lawmakers, not president. Lawmakers reach a deal. Includes fence funding, but no money for border wall. Going to just change the verbiage there. What's in the board? Number 29. Okay. This is the deal. This is the deal. $1.375 billion for 55 miles of border barrier enhancements. Enhancements. Oh, bada bing, bada boom. 1.37 enhancements. DHS would receive $1.7 billion in new funding for border security. No cap on number of people who can be detained by ICE. Funding for approximately 40,520 detention beds by ICE. So there's no cap on how many they could detain, but they're only going to have 40,520 beds available. So if they catch more, they got to let some go. Okay. Number 31, 2 a.m. this morning, meaning 5 a.m. right out of the box. Okay. Lawmakers reach a deal to avert shutdown with fence funding, but no money for border wall. Okay. Number 23, the Washington Post. Tentative deal set to avoid a shutdown. Okay, that's Washington Post there. Is that 32? Did I give you the, I think I gave you the wrong number. Yeah, 32. Sorry, that's the wrong one. So, tentative deal to avert shutdown. Okay. And number 34, this is Shelby, okay? Congress negotiators reach deal to avoid another government shutdown. So this morning, they are blowing up the airwaves. Every single thing that they can find, blowing up the airwaves, that there's a deal, okay? Even Fox is in on it, number 47. Lawmakers reach deal in principle. In principle. First thing out in the morning. In principle, lawmakers. So, the headlines everywhere is, the headlines are, in principle. The lawmakers make a deal. A deal is done. It is complete. It's a good Dem negotiator. House Appropriations Committee Chair Nita Lowry. Okay, she's the Appropriations, which that's who gives out the money. Nita Lowry. Dem negotiator conservative backlash to border deal confirms it's a good deal. Conservative backlash confirms it's a good, the deal confirms it's good compromise. It's good because we won't accept it. House Appropriations Committee Chairwoman Nita Lowry said Tuesday that conservative backlash to the bipartisan border security deal struck Monday. Now remember, everything's going to be bipartisan. It is in what? It is in principle a good deal. The fact is that Patrick Leahy and Shelby and these politicians come out and they say in good principle. Doesn't that just shock you how they loosely use in good principle? House Appropriations said Tuesday conservative backlash to the bipartisan border security deal struck Monday evening confirms for me that it's a good deal. The agreement in principle would provide, among other provisions, $1.3 billion in money for a physical barrier along a portion of the U.S.-Mexico border, significantly less than the $5.7 billion in the border wall funding that the President Donald Trump has demanded. Though it also includes Democrat concessions on capping the number of detainee beds for immigrant members of the arch conservative House Freedom Caucus, and conservative commentators like Sean Hannity and Ann Coulter have ripped the compromise, promoting the question of whether Trump might once again give in to pressure from the right. Will he once again? It's not given to pressure from the right. It's actually to follow through with the promise you made, Mr. President. You made, Mr. President, to your voters and the American people. The promises you made, Mr. President, is the reason you are at 52%. The promises you are keeping, Mr. President, is the reason you're at 52%. And the promises that the American people intend to hold you accountable for is the reason you're at 52%. Ann Coulter, Sean Hannity prompting the question on whether Trump might once again give in to pressure from the right and threaten to veto the bill, putting the federal government on the brink of another shutdown. A brink. You see, if Trump does it now, they set it up this morning. They blew up last night. Blew up. In principle, we got a deal. We're behind closed doors. And in fact, they even would show the door with the little thing on there, do not disturb, meeting in progress. Do not disturb. Meeting in progress. No more towels, nothing. Meeting in progress. Oh, they showed that door. And they were behind closed doors in good faith, in principle. They came out with a deal. A bipartisan deal, which, because of the right conservative backlash, they know even now it is a good deal for America. And the only thing, there's a deal to prevent the shutdown. There's a deal in principle. There's a bipartisan deal, and that's what the American people are asking for Congress to work. But the only thing between it could be this president once again. So they're setting it totally up for Donald Trump to be the one to go against a deal that was struck, bipartisan behind closed doors, that's supposed to be good for you and I. $5.7 billion is a drop. Do not accept, Mr. President, this joke of a deal. Okay, don't accept it. Don't put it on your desk. Don't sign it. We'll see. Maybe the president takes the money, but 55 miles, we get 55 miles of wall. I'm your host, BKP. We're going to take a break, and we've got several things to close up the show with.